Y'all know how I love these birth rate stories. The birth rate stories are showing up in various different ways, and I've been talking about this. This is not just about the number of births, it affects the economy in different ways. And this article is about dog strollers versus baby strollers. There have been more dog strollers bought versus baby strollers in South Korea because of the plummeting birth rate crisis. Dog strollers are outselling baby prams in South Korea, a sign that the country's birth rate is plummeting to hell. Last year marked the first year that sales of dog strollers exceeded those of baby carriages on Gmarket, a leading South Korean online retailer, according to the Wall Street Journal. South Korea, which has one of the world's lowest fertility rates, recorded another drop in 2023, with the average number of expected babies per woman going to 0.72 from 0.78 in 2022. This has deepened concerns among policymakers about the long-term effects on the economy and the country's aging population, even prompting the government to plan a new ministry tasked with reversing the trend. The surge in pet stroller purchases is striking. Sales have quadrupled since 2019, and top-end models can sell for as much as $1,100. Yoon Hyun Shin, CEO of Pet Friends, South Korea's largest online pet shopping platform, told the Journal that pet ownership has become a major trend. Pet ownership is rising, and so is spending on pets as people choose them over children. What I worry about is young people not loving each other. South Korea's labor minister Kim Moon-soo said in 2023. Instead, they love their dogs and carry them around. They don't get married and they don't have children. South Korea is very patriarchal, is very anti-feminist and anti-woman. They are not addressing the issues, and that is the problem. And their birth rate is going to continue to plummet to hell. The South Korean embassy in the U.S. was contacted by Newsweek by email for comment. To combat the declining birth rate, the South Korean government has allocated nearly $300 billion to various incentives such as childcare subsidies and direct cash payments to families with children. Some local governments are even offering up to $70,000 per baby as part of these pro-natal initiatives. Other efforts have included creative initiatives like matchmaking events with cash prizes for couples who meet and form relationships, as well as policies designed to shorten commutes and improve work-life balance. However, these measures have yet to yield much fruit. Many younger South Koreans face substantial barriers to starting families, particularly in the capital, Seoul, where housing costs are notoriously high. Cultural shifts have also led to a decline in the urge among South Korean millennials and members of Gen Z to marry and have children. So it says cultural shifts. What are those cultural shifts? Could that be 4B and now even 5B, where the South Korean feminists are saying block these anti-feminists? Could that be the cultural shift? Look at this graph. Falling birth rates in Japan and South Korea. Look how high it was. It was 4.5 back in 1970, 4.5 kids on average per woman, and it has plummeted to hell. And it's probably going to stay there because women are saying, get someone else to do it. Younger South Koreans are spending more than their predecessors rather than saving. They are working on their own emblems of success online rather than focusing on the impossible goals of settling down and having children. Sociology professor Jung Jae-hoon of Seoul Women's University told Reuters. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has called the birth rate crisis a national emergency and recently appointed a cabinet-level secretary to oversee efforts to reverse the trend. This part is hilarious to me. Yoon himself does not have children, but is an avid pet owner along with First Lady Kim Kyung-hee. Yoon himself does not have children, but is an avid pet owner. So if it is a national emergency, Yoon, maybe start with yourself. It's hilarious. Okay, together they care for over 10 cats and dogs, according to the Journal, further reflecting the country's growing focus on pets over children. South Korea's fertility challenges are mirrored in neighboring East Asian countries like Japan, China, and Taiwan, which have similarly low fertility rates of 1.26, 1.0 and 0.85 respectively. These countries are also struggling to reverse the declining birth rates as they introduce various pronatal policies. And in all of that, they are not addressing the culture that women are saying that they are going to opt out of. Because when women get married in these countries, they have to become the caretaker to everybody. They're the caretaker for their husband, they become the caretaker for their in laws, and they are the caretakers for the children. Men are not being pushed to participate in home life, and women are tired of being these second class citizens and servants, especially in these patriarchal societies where they do not have very many rights. So, this is going to continue until these men in these patriarchal countries address the root issue. But they would rather go extinct than to address these patriarchies that keep a boot on these women's neck. So I'm just going to keep watching and keep telling y'all about these articles as I get them or come across them myself. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. I don't see North Korea's birth rate numbers too much. It's probably because they have a dictatorship and Kim Jong-un probably keeps them under wraps. But this article from Newsweek came out today. North Korea issues punishments to raise birth rates because nothing says like, let me go out here and make a bunch of babies, like implementing punishments. North Korean authorities have been punishing doctors who carry out terminations of pregnancies and the providers of contraceptives amid a drive by the country to boost its birth rate, according to a recent report. Like I said, nothing just says, man, let me go ahead and have some sexy time because this just sounds amazing. It sounds like an amazing place to raise some kids. Radio Free Asia cited a medical field source in the northern province of Ryangang, which borders China, in its article. The source, who requested anonymity for their own safety, said the head of obstetrics and gynecology department of Paegam County Hospital was put on trial for having conducted at-home termination of pregnancy. The doctor who conducted one termination at home that resulted in the death of a woman was sentenced to 5 years in prison, according to Radio Free Asia. His trial was held in a conference room of a medical university hospital. North Korea's fertility rate, or number of babies expected per woman's lifetime, dropped to 1.8 births per woman last year, per estimates by the United Nations Population Fund. A fertility rate of 2.1 is considered the minimum rate necessary for a population to sustain itself over time. An OBGYN working at a hospital in Eunhung County, another administrative unit in Ryangang, was handed a 3-year sentence. She had previously been sanctioned for illegally terminating a pregnancy in 2021. Typically, OBGYN doctors go to a pregnant woman's home to perform terminations in order to leave no trace. But these two doctors had set up medical equipment in their own homes, the source said. They added that the department head in Paegam County had reached retirement age this year. The Eunhung County doctor has 2 daughters who are middle school students. RFA cited sources who said the government had raised doctor salaries by a factor of 40, now ranging between $5 and 11 won per month, to disincentivize earning extra money outside of their regular jobs. So here is the graph for the declining birth rates on the Korean Peninsula. We've already just talked about South Korea, but here's North Korea right here. This red line. So you see it is definitely below replacement. North Korea banned terminations during the arduous March, a period of extreme economic hardship and famine that gripped the country between 1994 and 1998, with deaths ranging from hundreds of thousands to upwards of 2 million. North Korea's demographic crunch is also a concern for its neighbors, whose policies to encourage births are so far failing to bear fruit. The fertility rate stands at 1.4 in Russia, 1.2 in Japan, 1.0 in China, and 0.85 in Taiwan. And we already have talked about South Korea at 0.72. However, North Korea is even more susceptible to the negative impact of the trend because of international embargoes on advanced machinery imposed over Pyongyang's missile and nuclear weapons programs. The country therefore continues to rely more on physical labor and outdated production techniques than other countries in the region. Late last year, in remarks during the country's fifth National Congress of Mothers, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un named the declining birth rates as one of the country's major social challenges and appealed to North Korean women to do their part and reverse the trend. So go out there and have more babies. And the women are still like, I'll pass. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Now let's bring birth rates back to the United States. Newsweek asked the question, as U.S. births plummet to hell, do we need more kids? Demographer weighs in. Let's see, do we? I say no, because the economy is climate change is a real thing. Political policies are in flux. Women's rights are being stripped. Why should people have babies? I don't know. Let's see what the demographer says. Birth rates in the United States have reached an all-time low. Many fear that the decline could lead to stalling in economic development and labor shortages, with Elon Musk describing it as the biggest danger civilization faces on his platform, Twitter. So should we all be having more kids? Well, Elon Musk, if you're sitting on a pile of money and everybody else is broke, how are people going to pay for these kids? According to the CDC, the general fertility rate in the U.S. decreased by 3% between 2022 and 2024, a milestone they described as a historic low. But while these statistics might be startling, social demographer Leslie Root says there's no need for concern. We are not in the middle of a birth rate catastrophe. Root, an assistant professor at the University of Colorado Boulder, told CU Boulder today. If you look only at this slice of time where the older ones already had kids and the younger ones aren't ready to start yet, it just looks like nobody is having kids. That's what is happening with the annual measure of fertility rate right now. That's where we're seeing a lot of anxiety. In other words, as people continue to have kids later, Root said that we are in a period of low fertility as this next generation waits to start their families. If the total fertility rate were 1.6 every single year for a long time, yes, the population would shrink. But we don't know whether that will happen. We have evidence that people are waiting to have children, but we don't know whether that will mean fewer children. However, in the light of these snapshot statistics, Root said, we are seeing a rise in a political ideology known as pronatalism. Pronatalism is not just the idea that people should have kids, Root said. It's the idea that we should engineer birth rates to hit certain targets for the good of society. Root highlighted the rise of trad wives on social media as evidence of this, raising concerns about what these ideologies mean for women. It's about shaming women who don't have kids and trying to get back to an era where having kids is obligatory for women to participate in society. And it's all coming at a time when reproductive autonomy is already under threat. Instead of focusing on birth rates, Root said, we should focus on enacting policies to make it easier for people to look after the children they already have. Universal health care or universal parental leave, or how about this, both of them. Improving infant mortality rates, and we should continue to make sure that people have access to family planning so that people can have kids when they want to have kids and avoid having kids when they don't want to. You would think that the legislators, that some of these people that really want us to have kids would look at these common sense measures and say, we should try that. No, they don't do that. Instead, they just want to strip women of their reproductive rights, which is making women go out and get long-term birth rate, is making them go out and get tubal ligations, is making them want to go out and cut their tubes and then fry them or tie them. It's making men go out and get vasectomies. It's making women just say to dating and marriage in general. These people have no sense. The Christo-fascist is going to make the birth rate continue to plummet because women are just going to continue to close down their wombs. It's going to be like this. It's open and then it's going to be closed. And you're seeing that with the politics, what women are saying as they go to the polls. That's the reason why all of the smomortion ban that come up for votes in these states, they have lost They have lost each time they have come up for a vote because women want their rights, even in these red states. You would think that they would start listening to women, but they're not going to. So the United States is probably going to, the birth rate is going to plummet to hell, just like South Korea, just like these Asian countries that are plummeting. And they're going to deserve it because they're not listening to what women are saying. Anyways, join the conversation. Let me know what you think of this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.